Well, Lonnie Johnson, speaking of, the jazz heritage, you know, that I was so fortunate to grow up around and even meet some of these guys, the jazz guys. Even Muggsy Spanier came over to our house for dinner. What a thrill that was, talking about Bix Beiderbecke and all those things. And I was probably this high. And but out of that, seeing, one of the people in my brother's collection that would pop up in odd ways was Lonnie Johnson. And as I got older, 17, 16, 17, 18, started to hear this stuff with Eddie Lang, started to hear all this stuff, and then the singing. And I just have to tell you that I'm very fortunate to not have consciously, attempted any singing style. I sort of got given this thing that's sort of me. But if there's any one person who I identified with physically singing, it was Lonnie Johnson. It was also Don Redman and later Sippy Wallace. There's certain people who influenced me greatly in terms of enunciation, phrasing, communication, learning to speak while singing. And that tone in Lonnie Johnson's voice. And so, here he was, my big hero. I'm probably still away at school or something, and I'm living in Princeton. And I think Joe Boyd and his brother Warwick heard about Lonnie Johnson living in Philadelphia on some radio show. So we got out the phone book and we looked up Lonnie Johnson. And we found 3 Lonnie Johnsons. Maybe he was the third guy we called, but we found him. And we asked him up to a party. I guess this was 1959. And we drove down to Philadelphia from Princeton and picked this guy up, and he couldn't have looked more beautiful. Had this brown suit on, this big guitar case, and I don't know what he was doing. People say different things about what he was doing, whether it was a dishwasher or porter or whatever in this hotel. But it certainly wasn't the kind of job that you'd think Lonnie Johnson would have to take after playing with Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong and being I don't know, people know this better than I, but I think he was the biggest blues star of all. And he was B.B. King's biggest hero, Lonnie Johnson. Simple stuff. But we brought him up to that party, and one of the things about being a young kid, you want to hear all the raucous, grungy stuff, and he had a tendency to play ballads, which I started to appreciate later, but at first, you'd have to nudge him to play something like Jelly Roll Baker or just good old blues tunes, But to be around this guy, it's interesting. The feeling about being around John Hurt or Booker White or the rural guys was way different than the feeling I got from being around Lonnie Johnson. The worldliness of him, the experiential feelings, and the sadness of him. He had a sadness. But I would see him in New York from time to time, and just like in other cases where other people might have spent more time, learning the licks from him, or I just bumped into him from time to time and we'd talk, and he was always happy to see us. How lucky can you get to meet these people that come out of history books and album and 78s, and they just jump out at you in the right place at the right time. Said, Mr. Jelly Roll Baker, let me be your slave. Gabriel blows his trumpet, then I'll rise from my grave for some of your sweet jelly roll. Yes, I love your sweet jelly roll. It's good for the sick, yes, and it's good for the old. I was arrested for murder, first degree. Judge's wife called up, said, let that man go free. He's a jelly roll baker. Yes, he's got the best jelly roll in town. He's the only man that bakes jelly roll with his damper down. I was in a hospital, shot full of holes. Nurse left a man dying just to get a jelly roll. She loved her jelly. Yeah, she loved her sweet jelly roll. She'd rather leave a man dying than to miss a sweet jelly roll. Asked me how I bake good jelly roll. I said, nobody taught me, miss, it's a gift from my soul to bake good jelly. Yes, I bake a good jelly roll. She said, I love your jelly roll. It does me good deep down in my soul. She said, can I put in an order? 2 weeks ahead, I'd rather have your jelly roll than my home cooked bread. I love your jelly. Yes, I love your sweet jelly roll. It's like Maxwell House coffee. It's good deep down in my soul. Yeah, oh, your sweet jelly roll.